The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32573. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting under the front bumper, there are two open-ended tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, on the passenger and driver side of the vehicle, there are dual air horns. Just inside of that location, on the face of the bumper, there are 3 sirens, PA speaker systems. Let's move up onto the very top. There is a tubbed storage location with a notched area for the hose, in addition with an 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Moving to the bumper extension on the side, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up onto the top of the body, you'll find the headlights, low beam and high beam. The high beam is on the inside and the low beam is on the outside. Just above that, you'll find emergency warning lights and turn indicators. And then on the side, you'll find a marker light. Moving just above the turn indicator, you'll find grab handles on the passenger side and driver side. There are 3 windshield wipers across the one-piece seamless windshield. Just above that, you'll find 5 running lights. Located directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located directly in the center of that light bar is where you'll find your opticom. Just over the back side of the light bar, you'll find a go light. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. First, let's start with the tubbed storage location. Inch-and-a-half front discharge swivel. Headlight structure, turn and emergency warning lights. Light bar, opticom, forward facing, and also your go light. On the side of the apparatus, you'll find the shoreline inlet, which is a 20-amp auto eject. You'll also find, when plugged into shore power, the battery voltage Q-Small electronics device will activate, in addition with a indicator light when plugged in. Just to the right of this location in the image, you will find a side-facing emergency warning light. Let's look overhead in the rear section of the cab. You'll find a side-facing floodlight. Just beneath that, you'll find a water tank indicator. Let's move now to the midsection of the pump area. First, we'll start at the very top. There are 3 crosslays in this area. Let's move downward to the pump panel area. We'll first start with some warning labels. At the very top, you'll find this entanglement hazard because of those hoses. In addition, you'll find a warning label not to ride on the side of the apparatus for fall. You'll also find a pressurized cap warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing a pressurized cap. In addition, with a fall indication warning and also a warning label regarding that only trained personnel should operate this equipment, and once they've sought the owner's manual for information. There is also a foam backs mixing information that you should not mix your foam or different consistency types. We're now at the Pierce placard regarding the job number, 150, 200, 250 PSI test pressures. The GPM is on the left-hand side and the RPM is on the right-hand side. As we move to the pump panel itself, we'll start in the upper left-hand corner with the intake relief valve. This is the ability to adjust the intake relief valve. In the gray area, you'll find your master intake and also your master discharge. In between, or at the lower section of those 2 gauges, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They currently have plugs placed inside of those. Moving to the right in the additional gray area, you'll find the pump boss. This is your throttle pressure governor,
We'll talk about that in great detail. When your vehicle is properly engaged, this indicator will light indicating your pump has properly been engaged. Across the bottom, you'll find all of your discharges clearly color-coded and also labeled. I'd like to point out the passenger main inlet does have an electronic valve. That's the activation for that. Moving across the bottom, you'll find additional discharges color-coded and also labeled. We'll start with the pump boss. If illuminated, it will be yellow. It is the check engine light. There is a digital readout for the RPMs. And to the right, if illuminated, the stop engine will be in red. As we move down to the blue button, this is your menu button, which will allow you to scroll through the various menu sections. In addition, with the lower section here, provides all of your engine diagnostic information. On the far right, there is a red silence button. That will silence the audible alarm. As we move down to the left, there are two yellow buttons, pressure and throttle control. Those are the two modes that you can select. There is a readout in between regarding that information and also menu information. To the right, you'll find your throttle ready. This is a green indicator that will illuminate. And then just beneath that, you'll find a green preset button, which will allow you to program presets for your pump boss. Just below, you'll find the throttle control, and also in the center, a push for idle. To the right-hand side, you'll find the audible alarm. You can adjust that alarm by simply turning the outer bezel. To the right-hand side, you have a set of switches. Once again, if your pump is properly engaged, this indication will illuminate. You also have a driver's side scene light, passenger side scene light, rear scene lights, rewind, and in red, a red air horn switch. There is also a panel light on the far right-hand side. Let's move down from this location. We'll cover some of the other items. First, the tank refill recirculating line. As we move further down, you'll find the tank to pump. Moving up from that location, you have two water tank indicators in this area. First, the digital readout here regarding the water tank, and then to the far right, a visual indicator. You also have an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find the fire pump primer. This is push to prime, and there are also priming instructions below that you need at least 1,000 RPMs while performing a prime. Let's move further down. You're going to find your RPM counter. This is currently covered. And as we move further down, you'll find the pump drain. And then just beneath the pump drain, you'll find the manual pump shift. Once again, we'll go over some close-ups here of some of those items to help understand. First, you have a wattress pump. It is a CSU, 1,250 GPM. Across the very bottom, you'll find all the color-coded and labeled drains. As we move to the center section, you'll find the 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. Moving down to the left side, you'll find the air supply. This is going to be for your air outlet and also an air inlet. Down to the lower section, you'll find your foam tanks for foam A and for foam B. Those are twist, not pull, in addition with a warning label regarding not to mix consistencies and brands. Here's a close-up of that air supply information. As we move further down, this is going to be your foam A and foam B tank. Moving down to the step area, this is going to be a covered area where you have a tubbed storage location for hose storage. Moving up to the top, you'll see the cross-lay cover. As we move through some of the additional information at the very top, the cab, you'll find these warning labels. Because the surface is slippery, it is advised not to walk in that area. In the dunnage area, you'll find your water fill located in the center. On the passenger side of the vehicle, you'll find your foam tank A, and on the driver's side, you'll find the foam tank B. Let's take a look at the dunnage area once again. Your booster line does have a keyed location. If you have any kind of mechanical failure, that's what that was indicating. To the right, you'll find your master stream device. You also have in the vicinity also a light for lighting up this entire area. And then just on the other side of the keyed area, you will find a rewind button. Let's take a look at these sides. You'll find additional storage locations with LED lighting inside. Let's move back out now to the area where the pump panel is located. This is the first compartment aft of the pump panel. You'll find at the very top of this compartment a plug-in. When plugged into shore power, this will activate. This activates your battery charging system to maintain batteries. We'll next talk about the two compartments here, pan-style doors. Let's start at the very front. Just in front of the rear wheel, you have two bottle storage locations here for SCBAs. As we move further down, the next compartment is your blue DEF 4.5 US gallon fill location. Let's move to the back section. There are two bottle storage locations here, and as we move down to the next compartment, you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel only. It is the silver cap. Let's move to the rear compartment, LED lighting in addition with adjustable shelving. Let's take a quick glimpse of the rear section of the apparatus, and we'll cover some of the items within this area. First, let's start on the left-hand side of the vehicle. This is the cluster housing your brake, turn, reverse, and also an emergency light. You do have a switch for your rear scene lights, which are at the very top. As we move up, we'll talk a little bit about this door, which houses the backup remote. Moving further up, you'll find a scene light, rear facing, and then also your emergency warning lights. There are three fold-down steps in this location, two lower and one upper on the left-hand side. There is also a backup camera located directly in the center, and just above that backup camera you'll find your traffic advisor. There are grab handles sufficient on both right and left side, in addition with across the very center. We'll cover some of those items next as we move through some close-ups. Here is the rear compartment with the door in the open position, adjustable shelving and LED lighting. As we move to the left, this is the rear scene lights. This is the switch for that. It is also controlled from within inside the cab. This is your warning buzzer, 1 stop, 2 go, and 3 back up. Directly in the center, you'll find your backup camera and also your traffic advisor. On the far passenger side, you'll find the rear discharge. This is a 2.5-inch discharge. At the very top, you do have movable hose bed dividers, in addition with the ability to release the cover. General view of the side of the apparatus. Let's start here in the passenger side of the vehicle with a roll-out compartment shelf. This is the mechanism for releasing. There is also a quick release in the upper left-hand corner within this compartment. As we move, you'll find similar configuration as the driver's side, two SCBA bottle locations here. In the center compartment, you will find a D-handled tool board for accessing both sides. Once it's in the open position, you will find a release mechanism when it's fully open to restore it back to its original position. This is the release mechanism. Two SCBA bottle storage locations just in front of the rear tire. As we move to the next compartment forward, I would like to point out there is a warning label here regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust, and be cautious where you park your vehicle. We're now to the midsection. We'll talk a little bit about what's behind each of these compartment doors. There are two discharges on this side, 2.5-inch. In addition with your powered equipment rack module. Just to the right of that, you'll find the cab lift for tilting the cab for maintenance and checks. We'll talk a little bit about what's in the next compartment here. I've got a picture of that coming up next. And then also you have on the left-hand side, because it's an electronic valve, you're required to have a manual mechanism here for that valve, and that's what that is. You do have the Pierce American flag Eagle. That is your large diameter pump intake. To the right, large diameter pump discharge with the Storz fitting. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, and then across the very bottom, you'll find all your associated color-coded and labeled drains. Let's move back up here and talk a little bit about on the right side. There are 3 fold-down steps in this area to gain access to go aloft. As we move up, you'll find the cross-lay compartment in the very front section. You'll also find grab handles, water tank, and also side scene lights and emergency lights. As we look to the running board, you do have a tubbed storage location for hose storage. In that compartment, first we'll talk about this is your foam drain. Once you've accessed behind the compartment, you'll find two foam A and foam B drains. This is a close-up of that area. As we move to the powered equipment rack, there is some danger and warning information here. Please see your owner's manual for more information. And then you'll find your cab lift information, once again caution and danger labels here. You do have an air horn access in red and passenger side scene light switch here. As we move forward behind this panel, which is the access door for your manually controlled hydraulic rack, as you can see there are instructions in the red, and then you can see the jack is on the left-hand side. Just a close-up here of the large diameter and also the 2.5-inch discharge. At the very base, you'll find all of your associated drains. You can see that they are color-coded and also labeled. Auxiliary 2.5-inch passenger side. Let's go ahead and move forward now to the forward section of the cab. You do have a smaller compartment in the rear section, but let's go inside the cab now. There are some warning labels at all points of entry for firefighters. These are those warning labels on the door. There's also a quick grab handle here for accessing or gaining access into the cab for firefighter ease. As we look inside to the rear section of the engine apparatus, you'll find a drop-down door here which will allow you access into the oil and transmission for your daily checks. There is a light just inside that compartment. The next several images will just be that of a panoramic view with inside the cab, just to identify locations of where items are located. As you can see here, your stream lights, under seat storage in the very rear section on the back wall, in addition with cab storage. This here is netting on side. Simply pull the two orange straps to release that netting to gain access behind. As we look behind the passenger seat, we'll identify a few items here. First, you'll find your Motorola radio information module. And then to the right, this is going to be your EQ2B. This is your siren module. Let's move to the passenger side area. Once again, points of entry, you'll find those warning labels. As we also look inside the cab, you'll find that grab handle for ease and access for firefighter safety of getting in and out of the cab. Your vehicle is equipped with a SRS, which is a supplemental restraint system airbag. Please do not block this area and see the owner's manual for mounting of equipment. You do have a fill location for your windshield wiper fluid, and then you do have siren and air horn control on the upper left-hand corner for the officer. This is a quick view. This candy cane style warning indicating that there are wires behind it that are clearly marked and labeled. You do have a map book in addition with your SRS indication for your airbag. On the left-hand side, you'll find your siren brake and also a 12-volt access, which is USB. You do have portable radio access and also map book storage located in the center cowling. Overhead of the officer seat, you'll find the Go Light controls. This is that pinpointed spotlight over the top of the light bar. You do have Firecom control module. As we move left of this location, you'll find your main unit radio for dispatch. Just left of that location, directly in the center, you'll find your siren control and also PA system. As we move to the driver's seat, there are a few warning labels here. Points of entry have those warning labels on the door, in addition with seatbelt and also information. This is the driver's side door. This is the locking mechanism within the latch. As we look at the left knee area of the operator, you'll find your master battery switch. That's the silver switch. To the right, you'll find the tech module, engine transmission, ABS diagnostic ports, and also the display port. Down the lower section, you'll find your engine ABS. Also, you'll find DPS regen and engine diagnostic switches. You'll also find the manufactured plaque here. This has the date of manufacture, job number, in addition with gross vehicle weight ratings, tire inflation pressures, VIN number, and it also has all of your fluid capacities for the component and fluid capacity type. Let's move about the left knee of the operator. Just to the side of the column, you'll find your pump shift. This is from road to pump and from pump to road. You'll find two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. If exiting the cab for intent of pumping, those two green indicators must be illuminated. As we move to the right-hand side of the steering column, you'll find an air horn switch, electronic siren, perimeter lights, and also a load manager switch. You'll also find your main mirror controls. As we look to the left-hand side of the column, you'll find your ignition switch and start switch. And then just to the right near the column, you'll find this small EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master, that will control your emergency lights. You also have headlight and parking lights, and then to the right, a panel switch for dimming and brightening your panel lights. To the far right-hand side of the column, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle switch. And as we look to the center section, you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information here right at your fingertips. Just beneath that, you'll find a set of switches, which we'll go over as we have a close-up. Down below that, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Just to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Let's take a look at those switches that we just previously mentioned. First, the engine brake on-off. Then you'll find the engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, a siren brake, and also a mirror heat. You also have a protected switch here, which is labeled MDT. Just above that, you'll find climate control. To the right of the display, you'll find your windshield wiper, control, and also push to apply fluid. As we look to the dash, you'll find transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. On the opposite side, right side, you'll find the volts, fuel, front and rear air, speedometer and tachometer center, and then you'll find informational display above and below the speedometer. As we look overhead, you'll find this placard regarding the height 10 feet 0 inches, length 31 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 42,000 pounds, and this is also an additional location for the job number, the 01 indicating the first in this job number. As we look overhead, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches are engaged, the green indicator will illuminate, indicating the light has been turned on. To the right, we're going to find your high beam flash, the control for your Opticom, front flood, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, and rear scene. Same applies for the green indicator when the switch is on. Let's move further to the right. This is the control module for your go light. There is a switch to activate, which indicates the red light, and then the control module to the left. This is your siren control. Moving just slightly right to that in the center, siren control and also traffic advisor are in one unit here. We look overhead. I would like to point out if this light is flashing, it's indicating not to move your apparatus, that you have a compartment or something is ajar. You do have push on and off white and red lights overhead. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32573. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.